thank you. Sudhir, you know more about me than I do. Thank you for this long introduction. I know you are hungry and you are tired.
That makes very good.
I will be brief so that we can have something. Okay. Thank you very much for giving me this privilege and honor to be speaking to you. Why I talk of the indigenous women? For sake of time, I don't want to raise that how many of us are indigenous in this hall. But indigenous people as such are the, and I will be, before I define the indigenous people, I would be talking largely of South Asia, the region that you have not heard so much so far. So that is the region I would talk of. Indigenous people are most affected by the climate change. Whatever it is, because they are the natural resource-based people that are engaged. And then about why women, that would be the, and I would raise two major questions. How have indigenous women's capabilities of taking care of food, health, and managing their assets, and assets as such. Asset is divided into two, as the knowledge resources as well as the land, forest. These are the resources on which the family depends. How they have been affected by climate change, and they are also affected by the national mitigation strategy. Incidentally, I don't have enough copies, but I've carried some copies, so this would be the thing that would be.
Is there a website for those copies?
Yes, it is on UNIFEM website, it is on IFAD website that is available.
I'm selling it for $50.
To raise money for, I will may have more copies then. Second question is, what can be the mutual learning and sharing of experiences among indigenous and non-indigenous peoples? I don't like to call indigenous people and mainstream society because the language really makes a lot of difference. Once you call indigenous people and mainstream society, that means you put them at the periphery. So now indigenous and non-indigenous people, there can be a lot of learning because they are the ones who are affected by it mostly. Another thing we heard about the paradigm shift. In the paradigm shift, one thing important to remember, and it is to remember, we remembered at COP15, Conference of the Parties at Copenhagen, and also at Mexico it would be very, very important. What kind of development do we support? Because mainstream development has resulted in loss of land, and particularly in the no history of 100 years for indigenous peoples, they have lost land. Their land has been taken for industrial development by the so-called mainstream societies through various means, through the deceptions, and also for the mitigation strategies. The decimation of women's traditional non-natural resource management knowledge. They have tremendous kind of natural resource management knowledge, including in the healthcare. All this is lost. And now what is introduced is really a lot of antibiotics. Decline in their social position has been there, and I would quote a kind of indigenous person who is a member of parliament, Lucky Sherpa. I was interviewing her in 2006, and she said that there is a triple discrimination that the indigenous women face. What is this triple discrimination? This is that she is as an indigenous society person. Women are also members of the society. Second, she is a woman in that in the Nepalese society, so that becomes one. So member of the indigenous community, member of the Nepali community, or any other country, but she was giving the example of Nepal. And third would be that the woman within the indigenous society. So these are the three triple discrimination that women face, while other women face only double kind of thing, double discrimination and marginalization. We have, I am not going to say in detail because all previous speakers have given a detailed gender differential effects on access to land and other productive assets. There have been tremendous research done, and particularly by the activists has been pointed out how women are differentially affected than men with regard to the climate change. Why they are differentially affected? Because they have really the responsibility for the food security, and they have the for provision, and particularly when the economic crisis is struck. We were there at Asian crisis in Thailand in Southeast Asia, and we saw that a lot of sex trafficking of the women have increased because of the economic Asian crisis. And now we also see that in the global financial crisis, which is going on for over the nearly 2 years or less than that, and there is a lot of human trafficking, a lot of things that are going on, although we have not yet done the research, but the civil society organizations have pointed out. So women, it becomes women's responsibility, particularly in the developing countries, and probably here also I have not studied the developed countries.